Hey everybody, Chris here with Sling SEO, and right now I'm going to walk you through the internal campaign settings for using GSA SER. As you saw in the SER tutorial video number 1, the way that you have SEO as a software, the way you have the settings set up, will have the largest impact on how efficiently the software runs and how fast it runs, how many links you can build per minute, etc. But the next area that has the largest impact on how fast you can build links is the internal campaign settings. So because I have tons of campaigns set up, I'm just going to take a tier 1 and tier 2 campaign, show you how to link them together, which is extremely easy, and then go through the different tabs and show you um, how all those different areas have an impact on how fast you build links and what you should set your campaigns up like. So this is SER right here, and I'm just going to take this campaign down here. I set everything up by T1 and T2 as far as the actual names of the campaigns, just so I can keep track of them more easy. And if I have them on a time date, I just set the date that they need to expire in the title so I know right when to turn them off. So anyways, these are the same campaign right here. Just going to go in and open this up. And this is just a tester for running scrapebox blasts. So I just send them to like CNN.com or Google.com. The point is really just to get verified links. It's not to actually build links. But anyways, when you're setting up different tiers, you just click right here, use verified URLs of another project. Go down here and find the one that you're looking for. Link service tester T1. Make sure you put the check there. And now that is set to build links to that first tier. Now that's very easy. Where it gets a tiny bit more complicated and where you have options is with the edit tier filter options. And keep in mind in this future this might be different, but the principles will remain the same. So you have different choices here. You can automatically pull anchor text from the link that's already been built and use that as your anchor text. It'll look a little suspicious if you have a link to your money site and then all the links behind that link are the exact same anchor text, so I don't use this option. But if you're doing spam, YouTube blasts or something, it might be okay. Do follow only. For the most part, I only like to build links to my do follow links, not even really for the point of getting juice behind them, but having do follow links indexed is more important. And over time, your no follow links are going to get indexed. So I really only want to focus my efforts on getting my do follow links indexed. As far as PR must be at least that, all this other stuff, amount of external links. So if you have a lot of links on your tier 1 and some of them have more than 50 or 99 outbound links, you can set this so that you only build links to pages that have less than that number of external links, and that can prevent kind of spammy pages from getting indexed. For me, the second and third tiers are not about sending link juice. They're really about getting tier 1 indexed. And if you don't want spammy links pointing at your money site, that's a good way to avoid it. Max amount of internal links, same thing. URL, so if you want a page that's been around for a while, if you only want to try to index pages that have been around for a while, you can use this option. I don't. I want to get my tier 1 links indexed as fast as possible. And then if you don't want to do, I don't know why you would use this, but if you don't want to build links to certain type of tier 1 or, on the lower tier, you don't want to do exploit links or forum or whatever, you can use that. So I'm not going to adjust any of these, right? Now I have it set up how I like to have it set. Use URL variations. As you can see, this just changes the capitalization. I actually like to keep mine on about 33 and sometimes even 50%. It just mixes things up. I don't know if Google actually acknowledges capitalization when they're looking at URLs, but it can't hurt. It does make things look more natural. Use the root main URL. This isn't really going to be relevant on your tier 2s, but on the tier 1, depending on what you have up in the URL bar up here, that can come in handy. Keywords. This is just the keywords that SER is using to scrape Google and find targets. A lot of platforms don't even allow you to use keywords, so it's kind of irrelevant. I use the same big list for all my campaigns, but if you're really hardcore SER, you can get in there and include niche-specific keywords for the type of campaign that you're running. Collect keywords from target sites. On a tier 1, usually I'll do this. For tier 2, I'm not going to do it. But yeah, SER is already scraping all these different pages, so you might as well try to pick up more keywords so it can find more targets. Use collected keywords to find new target sites. It's collecting those keywords, so if you're going to collect them, you might as well use them to try to find new targets. And then put keywords in quotes when using search queries. If you click this box, SER will tell you that you shouldn't do it. I've never used it. Like I said, most platforms don't even use keywords, so you don't have to worry about that. Anchor text. This is just the anchor text that you want pointing to your money site or pointing to your tier 2 site. If you're not using this option from up in here to pull anchors from the tier below it, then this is where you put all your anchors in here. Going further down, we have the different types of anchors you can use. And you want to be careful on the percentages here, because basically you need to have, you want to have 100 total, but that's including the main anchor text section up here. So let's see, like right now I've got 25, that's 40, that's 45, 55, 60, 70, 85. So that's going to give this main anchor text bar 15%, 100 minus 85. So be careful on that. If you set this to 100, it might ignore your main anchor text up in there. I made this mistake for a long time. The other thing to be careful of that I screw up on sometimes is when you're duplicating templates. Like, I don't create campaigns from scratch anymore. I have templates that have all these settings already done, and then I just duplicate them. Make sure that this stuff is set in here. A lot of times I'll create campaigns, and then when I import an article, I'll go down here and realize that I had partial match anchor text and secondary anchor text checked, but there's nothing in there. So I'm not sure if when there's nothing in there, SER builds blank anchor text or if they look at the other sections, but it can screw things up. I'm not going to walk you through all these sections down here because these are populated based on your content. The only other thing that you want to be wary of is, where is it? Right here, the image that you're using for your, when it's like creating social network profiles and stuff, just make sure you're using an appropriate image. For a while I was doing a picture of like a hot girl, but then I realized that some administrators could take that down, so I just put in a generic kind of profile picture in there. And shit, I think I just froze. I'm going to hop out of here real quick and go back. Nice Lamborghini for you to look at for the time being. Okay. I'm not doing doc sharing on here because this is a tier 2. I only do that on tier 1. But if I was doing that, make sure for every campaign you set up, you modify the PDF that you're using so it has a link pointing back to your site. I made this mistake when I first started using SER, and I was always using the same PDF, but it only had a link pointing to the first site that I built it for. So it is kind of a hassle. I run mine off of Google Drive because I don't like editing within the VPS. So I'll edit it on my Mac, upload it to Google Drive, and then I have Google Drive installed on my VPS, and I'll choose it from there. So that's it for the data settings. If you go into Article Manager, this stuff is pretty straightforward. I use Wicked Article Creator, so I just click on Add, go down to WAC here, and then I copy paste in the code for that specific campaign. Ideally, how to insert link. You want to try to insert the sentence in an article. It just looks more natural if you do it that way. Not a huge deal. Use up to one URL from random words. This is to link out to authority sites. So on my tier 1, I will use this. On tier 2, you don't need to do that unless you're really paranoid about Google going upstream on your links and looking at where they're coming from. So I'm actually going to turn that off. Apparently my template had it turned on. Down here, insert up to 0 to 1, or you can just set it 1 or 2. Random images related to the article. On my tier 1s, I do this, and the same with insert up to 1 or 2 random videos. For my tier 1, I will put 1 to 2 random images and videos related to my article. It looks more natural, and Google indexes pages with YouTube videos on them faster, so I like that. Down here, do not submit duplicate articles. I like to do this. I don't really know exactly how accurate it is, but for the most part, it's going to prevent duplicate content from being set up, and we all know that's becoming more and more important to avoid duplicate content. So I set it to do not submit duplicate articles anywhere. Go over here to options, and there's a lot of stuff in here that you can play with. My tier 1 is the only level where I set up limits. On tiers 2 and 3, I don't set any limits here, and just be careful. On tier 1, maybe I'll do like 25 submissions reached in a day per URL if I'm doing inner pages, or if you're just doing the home page, you can just put, submissions reached in a day and turn off the per URL so that only builds 25 for the entire campaign. And I like using submissions reached versus verified because there's a delay in the verified. And once you have a hang of GSER and you know your percentages as far as submissions to verified, for a while I was getting 40%. So if I wanted to build 10 links per day, I would set it up to build 25 because I knew that approximately 40% of those would get verified, so I'd get 10 per day. So you do have to have a little more experience to know what your submission to verified ratios are, but that is an important setting right there. The easiest way to blow up a site with SER is to not pay attention to that setting and build too many links too fast. I've done it before and it sucks. Ask all services user to fill CAPTCHA. To fill CAPTCHAs, I have CAPTCHA Breaker installed, so it automatically defaults to that. If it can't figure it out, it will try a random entry, but I have it here custom set to retry only one time. Not only will it slow down if you use this, but if it uses it for scraping on Google and it keeps retrying using bad entries, it'll look like spam and your IPs will get banned faster. So you don't want to use that. And down here, skip hard to solve CAPTCHAs. I highly recommend this. Once again, this will skip ones that it can't figure out, and it just protects your IPs and prevents you from getting marked as spam. Enable custom mode. I would never use this. This is if you're when I first started, I used this for a couple days. This is if you want to manually enter CAPTCHAs. So if you're building a super high quality tier 1 and you really want to get as many links as possible, you can literally sit there and manually enter CAPTCHAs, but I think it's an incredibly huge waste of time. Nobody should be doing that. So yeah, recommend against it. Verified links must have exact URL. On any tier below tier 1, you need to have this set. Just hover over it. I'm not going to explain why that's important. Down here for when to verify, this is important. On your tier 1, you should be setting automatically, and that helps ensure that you don't build too many links too fast and you have an accurate picture of how many links that you're building. But on your other tiers, like tier 2 for example, you should really only verify every 4 days. That's why I have 5760 here. That's how many minutes are in 4 days. And if you have something on tier 3 and if you're doing tier 4, you really don't need to verify at all. On those tiers, you just want to blast as fast as possible. The reason this is important is because when SER stalls and it can't find targets, it tries to fill itself and find something to do, and what it does is verify URLs. So if it can't find targets, it'll start trying to verify the ones it's already built, and if you're having problems, especially if you're a beginner and you're not working with auto-approved lists, this will happen a lot. It's becoming harder and harder to scrape Google with private proxies, and I notice if I set this on, even sometimes like on my tier 1s, it verifies too often. So be really careful with your custom times. The goal here is to build links as fast as possible, and I'll talk about this later, but every box that you check affects how SER operates. It's a very complicated software, so if you checking certain of these boxes will take away from how fast it can build links, so be really careful with that one. Over here, don't remove URLs. I didn't really understand this in the beginning, but you shouldn't check it. Long story short, it'll submit a URL and then try to verify it, and if it doesn't verify it, it should remove it. If you click this, it won't remove it, but there's no reason to have that there. Here, remove after first verification try. I don't really know what that does. I don't want it to do that because sometimes it'll try to verify more than once. So I don't check either of those boxes. I just let SER verify and do its thing. Down here for also re-verify existing backlinks, this is important. This is more relevant on your tier 1s, not going to be so important on your tier 3s, but where it really matters is if you have reporting. For the most part, I wouldn't recommend using Software Blast to your client sites, but if you are, you'll want to go back and re-verify existing backlinks. Don't have this turned on all the time. Similar to how GSA